Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Let me remind you of Mindspeak happening this Saturday. Our guest is the greatest marathoner of all time, Eliud Kipchoge, who ran a 2-hour, 24-second marathon at Monza, which was the fastest recorded marathon ever. I've been going through his profile, and he really is going to be a wonderful guest, and I'm looking forward to having him on board. Intercontinental, Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. breakfast, and then we'll start by 10. Macro thoughts. This is interesting. This is the trade between China and the US, and this is from Holger. It shows you how the Chinese exports completely outweigh US imports. The beginning of the end of the dollar dominance in the global oil trade. This is via Holger again, and this is all around Chinese crude oil futures denominated in yuan. Apparently there's a boom amid looming Iran sanctions. The S&P 500 dividend yield just fell below the 3-month Treasury bill yield for the first time since 2008. Quite a big development. Brent crude rose above $78 a barrel, up nearly $1 yesterday, and fast approaching Saudi Arabia's preferred level of $80 a barrel. That's Javier Blas. And I take you back to my piece over the weekend, and I was talking about President Trump, whose political raison d'etre is to expunge and delete the name of Barack Hussein Obama from the record, delivered a unilateral hard exit from the nuclear agreement, and the market anticipated that and lifted prices quite considerably. Here is another chart from Rafi. This is of WTI, 50% from highs of 2011. Let's see if we can break $72 a barrel, he says. It would be big. Returning to my weekend article, I was saying, in fact, President Trump has flipped Obama's oil warfare strategy. You will recall oil prices touched $32 a barrel in President Obama's term, in part to bring a recalcitrant Russia to heel and neuter Saudi resistance to his JCPOA deal, and essentially flipped Obama's oil warfare strategy on its head. And I think in part seeking to assist the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia up the greasy Kingdom of Saud pole to the position of king, and I think the Kremlin is not complaining. Home thoughts. The world is burning, said Hunter S. Thompson. Hervé posted this, the sleeping Buddha from Bangkok. That made me go to sic transit gloria mundi, which is a Latin phrase that means thus passes the glory of the world. It has been interpreted as worldly things are fleeting. David Yarrow posted this, the Queen of Rajasthan. The tiger is the stuff of fantasy and fable, and it is no surprise that there are many people's favorite animal. The stripes of a tiger speak to us on many levels. William Blake, the tiger, 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 burning bright in the forests of the night. What immortal hand or eye could frame thy fearful symmetry? In what distant deeps or skies burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire, what the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the sinews of thy heart? And when thy heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain, in what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what dread grasp dare its deadly terrors clasp? When the stars threw down their spears and watered heaven with their tears, Did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee? Tyger, Tyger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? Political reflections, what a great day for the great American-Israeli alliance, tweeted Bibi Netanyahu. Our greatest hope is for peace, Trump said on the opening of the US Embassy in Jerusalem. In Gaza, of course, they were burying their dead. Big day for Israel. Congratulations, Trump again. This photograph is from the opening of the historic embassy move to Jerusalem. Zabad Zarif tweeted, Israeli regime massacres countless Palestinians in cold blood as they protest in world's largest open-air prison. Meanwhile, Trump celebrates move of US illegal embassy, and his Arab collaborators move to divert attention, a day of great shame. There were plenty of reports of Palestinians killed near the Gaza fence. 972 MAG were dying slowly in Gaza. It's better to die along the fence trying to be free. This is a photo of Fadi Abu Saleh, a Palestinian in Gaza confronting Israeli soldiers, which was widely circulated last week. Israeli troops shot him dead yesterday. From Ben Abiad, some facts: the Gaza Strip is occupied and Israel is the occupying power. Israel's blockade of Gaza is illegal, collective punishment. Majority of the Palestinian population in the Gaza Strip is under 18, and most are from communities ethnically cleansed by Israel in 1948. The Vice President, Pence, said it was in Jerusalem that King David consecrated the capital of the Kingdom of Israel. Since its rebirth, the modern state of Israel has called Jerusalem the seat of its government. Today, President Trump and the American people acknowledge this historic truth with the opening of the US Embassy. I tweeted saying, this is Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump's big moment. And what really gets me is the craven linguistics. And have a look at this photograph from a picture in 1976, taken by Sam Nzima, who passed away. And this other photograph, which was taken by the AFP photographer Mahmoud Hans. And it's as clear as that, isn't it, ultimately? There is a moral compass, and if you can't see where it falls, then really everything else is of little value. And clearly here, Gaza is a prison. They're being shot at, they're unarmed. You've got better methods of crowd control than this, and it's just appalling. The power of discourse, the use of the passive construct to describe killing, omits and protects the aggressor. La Formoisie. This Mark Rothko painting kind of captured my mood. So really, a quite atrocious situation. China takes delivery of powerful Russian S-400 anti-air missile systems, putting Taiwan and the Senkaku Islands within range of mainland assets. Russia may have just finished shipping its Ace S-400 Triumph self-propelled anti-aircraft systems to China after 3 Russian vessels carrying what were believed to be S-400's regimental core components, including a control station, radars, fuel, launch silo parts, and other auxiliary equipment, sailed into an unspecified Chinese port last month. Other than bringing the entire island of Taiwan well within range when launched from the coast of the Taiwan-facing province of Fujian, over a strait of 130 kilometers at its narrowest, missiles from the S-400 system launched from the northern province of Shandong could also shoot down planes near the Diaoyu Islands, which the Japanese call the Senkaku Islands. I wrote in August 2017 about China rising. I was talking about the South China Sea and calling it a mind-boggling geopolitical advance any which way you care to cut it. Badra Kumar has written a piece, Geopolitics of Trump's Exit from Iran Deal. As always, it's in depth, and I can't disagree with it. The conclusion he draws is that events are pushing together Iran, Russia, and Turkey, which have had problematic mutual relations. Serious question from Amy Siskin. How is Stephanie Clifford's attorney finding all this information and our media has not? Why was Ahmed al-Rumehi meeting with Michael Cohen and Michael Flynn in December 2016? And this fellow Michael Avenatti has really been quite extraordinary in the headway he's made. The US 10-year Treasury yield is at 3.02%, close to a new high. And over the weekend I said the signal in the noise, particularly for emerging and frontier markets, is the yield on 10-year US Treasuries. I said which yield is around 3%. If we move to 3.5%, we could see a further round of bloodletting. Europe's economy looks like the weak link in global expansion. Have a look at this from Bloomberg. Let's go to the currency markets. Euro dollar 119.22, dollar index 92.75, Japanese yen nudging 110 at 109.95, Swiss franc 10014, the pound 135.48, the Aussie 0.7512, India rupee, and apparently the Reserve Bank was intervening, 67.765. South Korean won 1074.53, the Rial 362.28, Egyptian pound 17.8320, and the Rand taking a hit again after yesterday's rally, now at 1238.27. Dollar index, this is a chart from T Commodity. I think we're on the cusp of the next leg higher. That's because I see higher interest rates in the US. Euro dollar, I think we didn't manage to get all the way up to 120.60. And it's breaking down again. Technology stocks are on the verge of surpassing March's record closing high. This is from TikTok. According to Peter Brent, for only the third time since October 2017, the factors trend model in Bitcoin is on the verge of turning down. Commodity markets, gold last trading at 1311.75. Crude oil, this is a chart from Cheagle, $70.94. Last Rafi's talking about 72 a kilo. Fitch has raised its Vietnam rating to BB from BB minus. I was writing over the weekend countries that have been flying by the seat of their pants and now being caught with their pants down, and saying that this has all the ingredients for baking a good old-fashioned crisis. The signal and the noise is obviously the US 10-year. Yesterday, the Argentina peso was in free fall as the central bank changes strategy. Central bank set to accept currency at low of 25 per dollar. And I wrote about them too when I said Argentina, which incredibly sold a century bond just last year after dialing up interest rates to an eye-popping 40%, has capitulated and dialed up the IMF's Madame Lagarde. Indian bonds hit a 33-month low. The rupee is at its weakest in 16 months. Weaker still, I think, though the state-run banks were seen selling dollars around the 67 level, dealers said. WHO says 19 are dead and 39 infected so far in this Congo Ebola outbreak. WHO has gotten approval to use an Ebola vaccine in DR Congo. And when I looked at it last, I realized it's all about escape velocity in the case of Ebola, because viruses exhibit non-linear and exponential characteristics. So that number of 19 dead, 39 infected could project considerably higher. My piece over the weekend was quoting a quote from The Economist, which was saying Africa looks more like Italy than China. I was talking about the demographic dividend, about dead space on the balance sheet, about the bounce we're seeing in South Africa, Nigeria, and Angola. I'm most bullish about South Africa, and the fact that 6 of our African countries are in the top 10 most miserable countries. an index that Bloomberg has. And I was saying Africa's fully loaded the balance sheet, notwithstanding a record-breaking Eurobond raise in 2018. It's as plain as day that the current scenario is a little like Argentina's century bond moment, a last hurrah. African governments need to improve their ROI because envelope space could evaporate momentarily and in a blink of an eye. A new coalition of the willing, Ethiopia reaches out to Djibouti and Kenya to partner on mega projects. What they really mean is routes to the sea. In Ethiopia's bushlands, promised riches of a railway boom turned to dust, hard-hitting report of the Guardian. Ethiopia's new £2.5 billion line began commercial operations at the start of the year, making it Africa's first fully electrified cross-border railway, built and financed by Chinese investors and contractors, and shadowing the route of an earlier French-built track. The Addis Ababa-Djibouti railway lies at the heart of Ethiopia's development aspirations. By linking the landlocked country to the sea and lowering transport costs for imports and exports, the government's hope to kickstart industrialization and transform a poor agricultural nation of nearly 100 million into a middle-income one by as early as 2025. From an economic perspective, the language, I've got some friends who are currently in Addis Ababa, they're saying there's just no foreign exchange. Companies are finding a huge turnover of staff. It seems that the economy has not gotten better. And talking about how the railway embodies contradictions, it is the physical manifestation of the country's politics. Others talking about how they were forcibly had to sell their land for peanuts. Finally, Biruk, the Oxford researcher, says some locals perceive the railway as an Addis-based elite project, a symbol of the regime. Ethiopian Airlines is stepping up efforts to dominate markets across Africa. They've been taking stakes in management contracts all across the board. Zimbabwe's central bank has stopped local banks from trading or processing payments linked to cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, but stopped short of banning local cryptocurrency trading exchanges. South African oil shares down 1.5% so far this year. Steinhoff's latest shareholder note shows a company heading towards liquidation. Says one analyst I wrote about it, this man, Christo Visa, with a Midas touch. And I was complaining, saying, South African analysts gave him a really softly drill, really, when there were so many questions that were needed answering. Dollar versus rand, we've come back out again. Let's look at it for now. Egyptian pound 17.8070. Nigerian all share up 6.37% this year. Ghana Stock Exchange up 32.72% this year. Tanzania aims to bring large-scale logging to the Salus Game Reserve, one of Africa's most celebrated wildlife areas and already earmarked by the government for a hydroelectric plant. They intend to sell standing trees with a volume of almost 3.5 million cubic meters, according to a tender document. It's a UNESCO-designated reserve, home to elephants, lions, rare birds, and other species. Authorities are also moving ahead with a plan to build a 2,100 megawatt hydro plant on the reserve's Rufiji River, which flows into the Indian Ocean. Nairobi all shares up 2.42% this year and has fallen 10.8% since hitting a record high on April 5. American Tower Corporation is set to obtain 723 towers from Telkom Kenya. Aldo Moreira's CEO of Telkom said the sale will release capital for further investment in the company's 4G network and a number of IT platforms. NSE 20 is down 3.49% this year. Oil stocks, Kenon Kobil, has surged 38.57% in 2018, and on a stake building operation by the Tanzanian Rajabali brothers. Total Kenya up and eye-popping 50% in 2018, and both, I think, have been lifted by the very positive talk around the Vivo energy float in London. Once again, thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you at Night Speak on Saturday, 9:30 a.m. We even serve breakfast.